Thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. It's my pleasure to welcome everybody to the March 27th, 2025 Guelph Police Services public meeting. And now we'll start off with the call to order and the territorial announcement. As we gather, let us take time to reflect on our privilege to live and work in Guelph, a city built over rich Indigenous histories. We are guests here, and we should reflect upon our responsibility to care for the land, the people who live here today, and the generations to come. If our actions today can move us toward reconciliation, we should take pause and make those decisions with intention and gratitude. This place we call Guelph has served as the traditional lands and a place of refuge for many peoples over time, but more specifically the Attawandaronk and the Haudenosaunee. This land is held as the treaty lands and territory of the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation. Guelph lies directly adjacent to the Haldimand Tract and is part of the long-established traditional hunting ground for the Six Nations of the Grand River. Many First Nations, Inuit, and Métis peoples who have come from across Turtle Island call Guelph home today. Now I'd like to ask if there are any conflicts of interest or pecuniary interest. Hearing none, I'll declare that item closed. Next item, I call on Mr. Sharma to bring a motion with respect to the community count.
Yep, that the board approve, thank you, Mr. Chair, that the board approve $1,500 from the community spending account for the LAWK trivia night.
Okay, seconded. Vice Chair Ms. Armstrong. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Next item is the approval of the agenda. Need a mover and a seconder. Moved by Ms. Armstrong, seconded by Mayor Guthrie. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Okay, now I'm going to be asking for a motion to approve the consent agenda, but prior to doing that, if any member wishes to remove an item from the consent agenda and add it to discussion, we could do that at this point. If not, I would ask for a mover and a seconder for the consent agenda. Moved by Councillor Alt, seconded by Mayor Guthrie. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Okay. Now we move on to the next item is the amended user fee for special duty requests. I'm going to ask the Chief Kobe if you could open our discussion for us.
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay. So I just wanted to, as the board recalls, we talked about this at our last meeting, and with the board's direction, we took away the report to reevaluate, to look at how we can mitigate some cost recovery while also ensuring that our community has the most affordable access in hosting events that we're required to participate in. You'll see under the results portion of your report, a scan of other police services in the area found that a base administration fee ranges from around 15 to 35% for these type of events. As you'll recall, last month, we had proposed a kind of a flat fee of 10%. Again, certainly not a full cost recovery, but to mitigate the administrative costs to manage these events. With the board's feedback from last month, what you have before you is a report that would essentially have a 5% cost, 5% admin fee for not-for-profit organizations or other groups, and then a 10% administration fee for all other organizations. So essentially, groups that would not have to pay the full 10% would be groups that are a registered charity, community groups such as a high school, or other specialized organizations such as a business improvement area that hold events to promote the business district. While these events may raise funds, they're not for businesses to receive a portion for personal use. If you look at the chart provided, for a number of regular events, for example, like a high school dance, the new proposal would actually have a $35 admin fee that would now be $24. And for some other events like a community festival, you note at the top, the current admin fee would be $105. That would go to $101. While some other road construction things, you'll note there would be an increase. And like I say, the fees haven't been updated since I believe 2018. And this is kind of a way to mitigate the costs that are involved with managing these events while not making it unaffordable for community groups and other registered charities. So other than that, on the face of the report, that's kind of the results of the discussion we've had since last month. And I'll leave it for you, Mr. Chair, barring any questions.
Any members have any questions or comments?
Mr. Chair, it's Cam. I was wondering if I could make a comment.
Yes, please.
Thank you. First of all, credit where credit's due. The person who kickstarted this conversation was Jane Armstrong. And so I just want to thank you for raising it at the last meeting. I think this report back has done a really good job in kind of filtering out the two things that was raised at the last meeting between sort of the nonprofit charitable sector and recognizing that they deserve a little bit of a break for our community good. So I just want to thank Jane for that. And then second and last is just a question. It looks like the previous time that this was ever reviewed was several years ago. Is there going to be a built-in fee increase tied to rate of inflation every year, or an automatic review every 3 years, an automatic review every 5 years, just so that we can take a look at this not on an ad hoc basis, but on a rolling calendar, that when we know we should be reviewing it?
We certainly could. My suggestion, I'll leave it to Sean, but we might be able to align it with multi-year budgets and how we do it that way for smooth planning. But we certainly can have so we're not doing it on an ad hoc basis. Sean, do you have anything to add or any recommendations?
Thank you, Chief. I'll just comment that the advantage of the percentage is by default, it goes up by whatever our costs go up as a percentage. So the inflation's sort of built in. And I agree with the Chief. I think the intent would be to use not just review this fee, but all of our user fees on a regular basis as part of the budget process. It was reviewed last year, and they were updated. So that would probably be the approach we would take moving forward. So.
Oh, thank you very much, Mr. Chair. I'm happy to move the recommendation as it's listed in the report.
Thank you. I'd just like to ask one more clarifying question. Now, there's some events like that would be where the organizer doesn't produce revenue and a profit, but there may be other businesses in it. And I'm thinking of sort of like Rib Fest would be the classic example with the rib vendors in. Would that fall under the 5% for the Rotary Club, or would the 10% because there's revenue producers there?
I assume it's going to be based on the organization applying for that. But Sean, before I give a wrong answer, I'll let you give the right answer.
I think using that specific example, given that it's the Rotary Club that's raising funds through an entry fee or whatever it is for community, I think it would most likely fall under the 5%. If the vendors create profit for themselves, that's within the festival. It's just like another festival where you have local folks selling, various goods inside the gates. But the fact that it's initiated by an organization raising funds for the community, I think that's the key factor. The intention is to have our special events coordinator, who's the senior officer in communications, review these. So I think that's the general answer, but as always, there might be a variation depending on who it is. So,
okay. Thank you. Any other questions or comments before we seek a seconder? Jane?
I'll second the motion, and I'd just like to thank the chief for taking this matter back, and I certainly agree with the proposal, and thank you for giving further consideration to it.
All in favor?
I'm
Opposed?
in favor.
Hearing none, I declare that item carried. Next item is the Chief's monthly update. Chief Kobe, if you could please give us your update.
Sure. And I will be Inspector Goody. This is your 1 minute warning. I'll be coming to you in a sec here. So I just wanted to, first of all, touch on a number. I wanted to talk to the community a little bit about some of the recent incidents. And I wanted to ensure the community, we continue to live in a very safe city. As discussed numerous times in recent weeks, months, and years, we've made consistent progress going from the 19th safest Central Metropolitan area in Canada to the 8th. Our goal remains to be the healthiest and safest community in the country, but we're very mindful of a few incidents that have been reported on in recent weeks, and wanted to share with the community, give some insights in some of the supports available, as well as the work that their members put in proactively to prepare and be ready to respond appropriately. Whether it's supporting the safety of our shared public spaces or issuing appropriate community safety alerts when needed, the safety of our citizens is literally our top priority. And I know the board has heard me say this many times before. First and foremost, whenever in doubt, please call us. Our community, we literally exist to serve our community and earn your trust. If you are ever not sure about your safety, if you're ever not sure if you should be calling us, when in doubt, call us. 824-1212 in non-emergencies or 911 in an emergency 24/7. So I implore our community, please never second guess yourself. Just call us if you need us. I want to give Andrew a few minutes to kind of share for the board and for the community. There's been a few incidents lately around our schools, and these can be very alarming, and a lot of work goes in proactively to make sure that we are prepared and appropriately respond to these situations to support our citizens, our schools, and our students. So Andrew, the floor is yours.
Yeah, thank you, Chief. Can everybody hear me? Perfect. Yeah, thanks, Chief. Thanks to the board for this opportunity. I just wanted to take a couple minutes to address community safety, specifically, as the Chief mentioned, some concerns about events that have happened at our schools. I'll just like to start by pointing out, since December, we have seen 3 different bomb threats directed at schools within both boards in our community. Whether these were pranks, whether they were swatting incidents, or if they were actually intended to disrupt, as an organization, we acknowledge the seriousness of these types of events. We know that events such as these have significant impacts on students, teachers, and truthfully, it's our entire community. They can be frightening for those who are involved, but they can also be difficult and complex for our professionals to manage. And as our community continues to grow, we have to understand that we're not immune from this occurring again. And as such, we recognize and appreciate the valued relationship we have with both boards, working together in coordinated efforts to lead to positive outcomes. I also want to assure the community, as the Chief just did, that as an organization, we are prepared to manage these types of events. When these types of events happen, we deploy appropriate resources, from anything from investigators who initiate the investigation to our tactics and rescue unit who have trained skill sets to manage these types of situations. And we have memorandums of understandings with neighboring services who provide other resources to assist us as well. For example, most recently, a bomb detection dog from K9 has come over to assist us to ensure that we're providing the safest possible community for our people to live and play in. However, our response does have impacts. These types of responses draws upon significant resources, including, the impact on our frontline patrol for response. So it's important that we're able to manage those and mitigate those as quickly as possible. Now, moving forward, we are excited and look forward to continue to work with our board partners on best practices for managing these types of incidents. And again, I just want to reiterate to the chief, whether it's an open space concern, whether it's a school concern, whether it's any sort of community safety concern, please, if you think you need us, call us and we will be there to support you. Any questions, Chief? That's the update I have.
Okay. Through you, Mr. Chair, any board members, any questions about what Andrew just talked about? Nope. Okay. And I also wanted to, so I'm just going to move through the list here, Mr. Chair, if that's good.
Yes, please.
Another update I wanted to give that is aligned with this is, as we try to make sure that we are well prepared and on track with our goal to be the safest and healthiest city in the province. One of the key areas that has really been shown a lot of return on investment has been our Community Safety and Operations Center. So I want to just give a few high-level updates in relation to that. We will continue to work and develop new and/or innovative solutions and initiatives to be responsive to the needs of our community and their public safety priorities. Our Community Safety Operations Center has been a really important example of this. In one case, we had a stabbing that occurred in our downtown. Our CSOC officers were immediately engaged, and they were able to, in very short order, determine who was responsible and other important information. On more than one occasion, video feeds from our downtown or other places have been able to identify incidents where individuals who were falsely accused of doing something weren't responsible for what they had been falsely accused of. And so we can see the obvious positive impacts of that and very negative impacts of being falsely accused and potentially charged and involved in the judicial system when you weren't involved in something. So not only has our CSOC helped solve crimes, ensure best evidence, but it's literally prevented people from being engaged in an investigation or judicial process, and they never did anything wrong. So those are both very, very important impacts. We are fully intending to work closely with city partners. We want to expand this initiative, always being mindful of public safety needs, always being mindful of privacy legislation. But this and other similar initiatives, we're going to continue to evolve these things to the greatest extent possible to support our community and their public safety needs and requests. So I'm going to stop there, Mr. Chair, and see if there's any questions. Okay. And barring any other questions, I also wanted to give, as we talked about near the end of last year, we recently updated our strategic plan for the next several years, and a number of priorities contained in there are downtown, a greater focus and support for intimate partner violence and human trafficking, as well as always, great engagement with our citizens. We want to really increase that engagement. And just since our last meeting, we were fortunate enough to attend and present to citizens at a Rotary Club event. Our members, including members of our leadership team, attended a career night at the University of Guelph. We hosted potential youth and their parents who might be interested in our Youth in Policing initiative. We had a Citizen Police Academy graduation that we hosted at our building. Several of us were very privileged to attend the recent Truscott Lecture Series, which is a lecture that the University of Guelph hosts every year. And just on March 20th, we hosted an info session for our community on intimate partner violence. We're also looking forward to, in the coming weeks, an information session on internet child exploitation, and we'll be traveling to the Evergreen Center to have a fraud presentation to kind of help those. Some of our seniors are often targets of this type of activity. So these are just an idea of presentations that have happened in the last few weeks, as well as other presentations that we look forward to in the coming weeks. And we really want to invite the community, whether it be a community organization, a community event, or a topic that community members are interested in. Please tell us, whether it be call my office directly, engage via our community policing portal. This is just a sincere invitation. We want to attend as many events like this as possible. And please just ask. And that's all I have, Mr. Chair. That's all the updates I have, barring any questions.
Thank you. Okay, does any member have a question or a comment arising from the Chief's update? Okay, hearing none, I'd like to thank Chief Kobe and also Inspector Goody and commend the hard work of the officers involved in providing these services to our community and under trying circumstances. So thank you to all. Next item on our agenda is new business. Does any member have any new business? Hearing none, I'll declare that closed. Our next meeting will be Thursday, April 17th at 2:30 via Teams and will be live streamed on YouTube. And at this point, I request a motion to adjourn. I need a mover and a seconder. Councillor Alt, seconded by Vice Chair Sharma. All in favor? Opposed? I declare that item carried. Thank you, everybody, and have a